Hey folks, we have come back today to Rayong Superbike. That is the dealer here that sells kind of a modge podge of scooters. That's what we're going to talk about today, specifically ADV scooters and the developments here. The big one behind me here is Zontes. Zontes has a brand new one that competes with one of the favorite ADV scooters, the Honda 350 ADV, or ADV 350. And I think it does a little bit more than compete. We'll take a little bit of a deep dive. They had one here. Don't worry, I got plenty to show you. But they had an existing model here, and it sold yesterday. But they still got, I don't know how many, of the 350Es, and there's a D back there. This is the new one, is called the G, the 368G. 368 is the size of the motor. I kind of like that. They've gone ahead and made the exact size of the engine, the nomenclature of the bike, where most of the time that's rounded off. In the case of, say, the Honda ADV 350, it's really a 330cc displacement. They call it the 350, they round it up. I mean, even my big hulking 1300 here is only a paltry 1284 cc's. That's been rounded up as well. But the ADV market here, what is that? That is, well, the ones that at least look like they're designed to go off-road. That all started with at least here in Thailand, where you live it may be different, but the first offering here was what's called the ADV X, or the XADV 750 from Honda. It's a big boy, 750cc, a dual clutch transmission. It is a final chain drive. That's hardly even fitting to call that a scooter, but that kind of was the first one. From there, we then got the ADV 150, which I test rode when it first came out, probably about 5 years ago at this point. And like I said then, it's just something that looked like it might consider going off-road, although the reality of that was no. We since got the ADV 160. They've increased the size, brought that up in parallel with the PCX 160. And then the new offering, a year or two ago, the ADV 350, and that's kind of your large segment, not the extra large, but large, and that seems to be very popular here because that's probably the smallest size people feel comfortable touring with. At least you have enough power to go out on the main roads and things like that. Kind of a cheap entry into touring here. One thing I think that they all have in this market are the stiffer suspension, the beefier shocks, and I think that's very popular for us expats because we weigh more. We typically weigh more than the typical Asian rider, and we ride two up a lot. So having those extra beefy shocks, especially in the back, can help with that. But I don't know anybody that has one of those that considers it an off-road vehicle. Now, enter the new Zontes 368G. Let's just start at the ground floor at the wheels and tires. You know, the ADV, the Honda ADV 350, you get, I think, a 14-inch in the back and a 15 up front in terms of wheel size. Zontes is giving you the same 14 in the back, but a 17-inch wheel up front. That's the same size you get in the big ADV X 750. You also get spoke wheels, tubeless rims, tubeless tires, and spoked wheels with a big 17-inch up front. That does give it a little bit of off-road pedigree. Your off-road bikes will always have, like, usually a 21-inch. For a true off-road bike, we'll have a 21-inch wheel up front, but a bigger wheel up front than you have in the back. It goes over hurdles easier and has sharper turn in. They've actually kind of stepped this up to maybe this has a little bit of dual purpose, of true dual purpose here. Well, let's go a little bit farther. The front shocks, the front forks, 41 millimeter diameter. That's the same here again that you get in the ADV X 750 from Honda, not the 350. The 350, I believe, has a 37 millimeter diameter. Now keep in mind, all these comparisons I'm making is because these two bikes are within about 10,000 baht of each other. They're comparable engine sizes, although the other party piece of the Zontes, it has about 30% more power. Yeah, 30% more power for 10,000 baht less. I think that makes it a deal right there. The fit and finish of this and the features, even though it's a Chinese bike, for the last 10 years they've built more motorbikes than anybody. That doesn't mean they're better than the other ones, than the Japanese competitors yet. It doesn't mean that. It means they're catching up. And I think in this segment, it really shows. I think it really shows in this segment when you get up into the, this is a nearing 200,000, a $5,000 to $6,000 bike. I think they put their best foot forward. The features here, I'll show you the features. You don't get one USB jack, you get 6. You don't get a 4-point adjustable windshield, you get a 5. You don't get a 4-inch LCD screen, you get an 8-inch TFT screen, full HD 1080p. Things like that, all for 10,000 baht less. So, for that reason, I think it's worth looking at if you're considering one of these large ADV style scooters for a touring or whatever. And keep in mind, the seat height on both of these is exactly the same down to the millimeter, 795 millimeters. So seat height has no bearing. The Zontes, if anything, is a little bit bigger. It has a slightly longer wheelbase, which might mean it's slightly longer. So you're not giving up anything in size. It does weigh more as well. Weighs 12 kilograms more than the ADV 350. Not a whole lot, but it's more than enough power. Instead of 29 horsepower, you're getting 38. Instead of 30 newton meters of torque, you're getting 40. So the power more than offsets that little weight gain, and it should be quite sprightly as well, and have all the gusto for maybe a little bit of off-road duty. Still, it's not going to have the gobs of suspension travel that you get with a true off-road bike, just not. The other thing is, though, the ground clearance, much superior on the Zontes than on the ADV 350. So if you are going to do, if that any kind of little off-roading is on your docket, definitely consider this over the Honda, even though the Honda has definitely the name. Let's just be honest, it has by far and away the name, the ease of maintenance, service, repairs, parts. The Zontes dealers are probably very limited here, although there's one in Rayong here, there's one in Pattaya, so they're coming along on that point. But I wouldn't buy any of these betting they're going to break anyway, or betting I'm going to need parts anyway. In fact, just the opposite. I wouldn't expect to replace anything other than some engine oil for maybe at least the first 10,000 kilometers. That's just me. If I buy a new bike, I don't plan on replacing anything. Now there's another one. Like I said, China is definitely vying for some of these ADV bot in this segment. This one, though, competes in the lower segment, so against maybe the ADV 160. This is what's called the Keyway 180 ADV, or ADV 180. And it comes out in March. It's not fully out yet. There might be a model somewhere that I don't know about. I haven't been able to find one. But it's coming in March. So maybe when it hits, I'll go take a look at it, a little bit of a deeper dive. But I think this is going to be more priced and performance in that segment. It's another choice. So it's going to be hard to beat the Honda in that segment. Very difficult, because that is modeled after the PCX, one of the leaders in the industry in that entire mid-size scooter segment. There's some other new stuff over at Yamaha, not so much to do with ADV, but some things worth mentioning. So while we're in downtown Rayong, I thought we'd come to the old town waterfront. Years ago, and I was here in the early 90s, none of this was here. They've built a lot of these big stone jetties out here. I guess the idea was to protect the coast. Years ago, you could smell this from a mile away. It was a very narrow beach where the sea had chipped away at it, and tables of drying squid. They had just miles of drying squid along here, but they've reclaimed a lot of the beach. I can look down here now and kind of see a little bit of a beach. Before it would just be fishing boats and the tables with dry squid. Now there's a lot of nice little restaurants along here. It's a little bit of a hot spot even in the evening, some very nice lounges and so forth, and a lot of restaurants like this where you can sit right on the water. There you go, the water's right behind us. But you can actually see these stone jetties and everything. This one's just called Krua Pak Nam. I don't know, there's a bunch of them, but I'll show you what we get anyway. And then we will continue on over to Yamaha. So yeah, very nice to see this area turn around from what I knew it in the early 90s. These man-made breakwater reefs, or whatever you want to call them. If you look on the satellite picture, you can actually see these from outer space. It kind of makes a very distinctive coastline here. But anyway, I'll tell you this as well. The last couple of days, the air quality has really improved. Look, you can see far out there on the horizon, you can almost see some detail in the ships there coming from Lam Chabang. But anyway, our food will be served here. We both had lunch for under 300 baht. Lan got a seafood fried rice. We had some vegetables to share. And I got a patka prao pla. That's red snapper fried up with basil, just like usually that would be pork. But anyway, we will saddle back up on the bike and we'll head over to Yamaha. So what do you know? I get over to Yamaha and they're renovating. It's going to be a nice showroom. It's all getting renovated. So they got everything parked out here. There's a new NMAX this year, a redesign. The X-Max, not so much. There's some new connectivity things, but there's something very important going on with that nonetheless. I think that like a new screen, maybe some minor things for the X-Max. However, it's like 15,000 baht cheaper than it was last year. So if you previously shopped and thought maybe you were looking between Yamaha and Honda, and you thought, if the Yamaha was a little cheaper, well, now it is cheaper. 15,000 baht cheaper, or close to $500 cheaper. So that's a big difference. Not every day something gets cheaper. And like I said, they have tweaked some things and actually made it better. So I don't believe it has what the new NMAX has, which is the turbo button on the high-end model. It's a bit of a gimmick. It's a bit of a gimmick, but they have brought now to scooters, automatic scooters, what cars have had since, I guess, the mid-1960s. And that is, if you gun the throttle now, it will kick down into what they used to call passing gear. Oh, the car kicked down into passing gear. Well, the scooter has like passing gear now. It's a CVT transmission, but electronically somehow it steps it down almost like a virtual lower gear, so you can get a sudden burst of power for overtaking, passing, etc. So that's a new thing, which actually is kind of a welcome addition to anything with a CVT transmission. I think they should all have something like virtual gears in it or something. I don't know. Something to make it a little bit better than just one droning gear the whole way. But anyway, there's going to be an Aerox that has this also. It's called the Aerox Alpha with the turbo button mode or whatever. So keep your eyes peeled for that maybe a little bit later this year. And I'll show you some other ones maybe to be on the lookout for. That's right. But first, I missed a couple things on this new Zontes 368G. They really have brought a lot of different things here to this new model. The features are incredible. So I'll go back just real quick and reiterate a couple things that I missed. There you go, the price with that's with a voucher. It's actually 5,000 more than that. But there's a parking brake amongst the other switch gear there. A parking brake, which I feel is nice. An app that does all sorts of things. I guess you download that for your smartphone. USB storage. But check this out. Built-in cameras, front and rear. And that's something else I think you have to hook up with the app or something that you would activate after purchasing. But they're built in there already. A lot of people buy these cameras and put them on their bikes. There it is. I think that's a game changer. Be on the lookout for the new Forza 750. This will kind of be the, younger brother to the ADV X750 that's been out for a while. This one more suited to touring even, I think. It looks like there may be panniers you can get for it. A nice big fairing to keep the wind off you. So that will be a very good touring option. And this guy is, I think, made in Malaysia. The Zoom, another ADV bike, possibly coming here. There it is. The Zoom 160. I believe that's made in Malaysia. So you never know. Could make its way to Thailand. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Something else next time. But for this one, got to go ahead and leave it off right here. And as usual, I'll thank you for watching. And until next time, bye for now.